Hi, this is Luis Souza from rawveganpower.com, and I'm very excited today to have here with us Jeff Sekerak from superiorbodyhealth.com. And he just launched a very new and awesome book. I just read it and I'm very inspired by it. Confessions of a Super Fit Vegan, or I ate the food of gods, loaded of carbs, forgot to count calories, and built the body of my dreams. You can too. Welcome, Jeff. It's so good to have you here.
Good to be here, Louise.
And I'm really inspired by your book. I really, it moved me. and then I think we should start here talking always about your book, with you telling us, our audience about your story, how you were before being the super fit vegan you are now.
Okay, I'll just give you a little bit of a quick background, Louise, so people listening have an idea of where I'm coming from. I've been a vegan for about 20 years. I first read the book Fit for Life, actually over 20 years ago now, and I became a vegan right away, which kind of shows you, I guess, what one good book can do for a person. Today we've got video, we've got all these different avenues that of education, CDs, DVDs, all this different kind of stuff that people can learn from. But for me, it was just one good book that caused me to go vegan. And again, that was about 20 years ago, but I probably was the most unhealthy vegan for a lot of those years in the entire United States. And I'd say the reason for that is I concentrated on a lot of refined carbohydrates for my calories. Lots of rice, lots of pasta. And, that some people do all right with that, but I think it's just a matter of time if you make refined carbs your major source of calories that you're kind of looking for trouble. And that's what happened with me. About 15 years into the diet, after years of making refined carbohydrates my number one source of calories, and definitely not eating enough fruits and vegetables, my health started to suffer. And I started to notice a lot of symptoms that you might associate with meat eating, like constipation, just general lethargy, heavy kind of feeling, things starting to slow down, and headaches, not sleeping well, that kind of thing. So at that point, I really do believe there is something to the old saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Because it was just when I was really saying to myself, I've got to do something different here. I was listening to an overnight radio talk show, and heard a guy by the name of Wayne Green, PhD, who wrote a book called The Secret Guide to Health, and he was talking about the benefits of a raw food diet, which struck me not because of the science behind it, but because of the individual cases that he was talking about. I still remember a couple of them. One of them is Lorraine Days. She was a medical doctor who was given a few weeks to live with a massive tumor on her chest, a massive cancerous tumor on her chest, and she went with a raw food diet, refused chemotherapy, and now years later she's totally cancer-free. And you can see, great story. You can actually, she's got a good site, drday.com, where you can see her tumor and everything. And it is one of the scarier things that you'll ever see. But that case had a lot of impact on me, and his book had a lot of impact on me. And from there, I began incorporating more and more fruits and vegetables and less refined carbohydrates into my diet. And from there, I guess you'd say kind of the rest is history. From there, a flood of information seemed to come to me from seemingly out of nowhere because I was ready for it, about the benefits of making
we could
fruits
say
and
that
vegetables.
you found the food of gods.
That's right. That's what I call it, the food of the gods, fruit, because it grows on trees. It should be free for everyone, and it supplies every vitamin, mineral, amino acid, and fatty acid that we need to sustain a vibrant life. So, like I said, once I started making fruit and a high amount of greens, the majority of my diet, things started to get better for me right away. That's what I try to break down in the book. I go over that background. That's kind of just it in a nutshell. But in the book, what I do is I lay it out in such a way that makes it doable, in my opinion, for pretty much anybody without feeling starved, without feeling that they're, missing a lot of the things that they like. Well, they're going to miss some of the things. I mean, I did, of course, but I lay it out in such a way that I think is doable for pretty much anybody.
And one curiosity here, how did you feel, and maybe what did you think when you first met this concept of eating raw food? Because people are so used to the cooked stuff, and how did you feel in that moment?
I felt it was a little restrictive, like most people. I missed. The hardest thing for me to quit eating was lots of rice. Like, one of my favorite dishes was Chinese fast food with just mounds of rice. So for me, that was probably the hardest thing to give up. But what's interesting is, and Victoria Botanko comments on this in her book, Green for Life, what's interesting is once you start making fruits and edible greens a large part of your diet, you get so much nutritional value from those that cravings tend to diminish pretty quickly. For me, they did within a couple of weeks. I started to crave less and less of the bad stuff, refined carbohydrates, and more of the good stuff. So it kind of has a cyclical effect. It's almost like you're either on a upward cycle or a downward one. And once you start eating the good stuff, drinking lots of green smoothies, you'll find that you start to crave those, and eventually your cravings for the bad stuff dissipate.
And then could we say that we become like addicted to the good stuff?
Hopefully. Yeah, that's what happened with me. I mean, and believe me, I grew up in the Midwest. I grew up in Illinois, and I grew up on meat, potatoes, cooked food, all of that. So for me to give up all of that, and I had a huge appetite too, by the way. And for me to switch from that to fruits, green smoothies, and the occasional serving of organic beans, that was a big deal for me. So I really do feel like, and now having worked with enough people to see the difference that it makes, I do believe that anybody that's really committed to be at their best can do the same thing.
And reading your book, I realized that you were in a journey, and you keep going this journey, because once you became a raw vegan, you continued reading and studying and so on. And then I realized, you found the 8-10-10 diet, but you now are kind of migrating to the paradigm diet, right? Could you explain that, please?
That's my opinion. Yeah, there are two great books out there. If you read mine, I go over a little bit of the background of both of them.
Mhm.
But one of them is Dr. Graham's 80-10-10 diet, which is a great book, and it goes over he lays out his case in the first half of the book on why a human being is pretty close to being a fruitarian. He lays out the whole case for the idea that there really aren't any other foods that are really designed ideally for the human body other than fruit. Vegetables are low in calories, and fruit is really the only food that breaks down to about 80% carbohydrates, 10% fat, and 10% protein. And that, as Diamond notes in Fit for Life, is really about the ideal calorie-nutrient ratio for human beings. And so Dr. Graham goes through his treatise on why he believes that humans are pretty much fruitarians. And when I read that, and I looked at some of the recipes he's got in there, I was like, oh my, I can't believe this. Some of the recipes are like just bananas and, bowl of strawberries. Like, oh, got to be kidding me. It's pretty restrictive, and I'll tell you right out of the gates that most of the raw gurus and the people that are Dr. Graham followers, they are not doing that. They are not. You could bet your life on that. They are not eating the diet as he lays it out in there. They're cheating to some extent, and they're getting cooked calories from they're eating some form of cooked foods. I've worked with enough of them to know that for sure at this point. And so that's a tough one to do. Of course, if you can stick to his diet, more power to you. And I still think that it is probably the ideal way to go. However, and this is a big however, if you read another book called The Paradigm Diet by Dr. Adam Dave, MD, he adds beans, which are botanically a fruit, to Dr. Graham's protocol, which in my opinion make the entire diet one heck of a lot easier to stick to, because it's very easy I've found for people to go an entire day eating fruits and green smoothies, but round about 4 o'clock, early afternoon to late afternoon, that's when people's cravings for something more substantial, at least in my case and most of the people I've worked with, that's when those cravings kick in.
Right.
After a day of fruit, green smoothies, you're really ready for something more substantial. And what I recommend is then for dinner, you have another green smoothie, kind of a saltier tasting one, like a tomato-based green smoothie. Then you wait about 15 minutes, and then you have a large plate of, for example, steamed vegetables like broccoli or cauliflower, and a serving or two of organic beans like pinto or garbanzo beans. If you do that...
And the beans should be steamed as well?
You can soak them overnight, and then you can boil them, or you can actually eat canned organic beans, which are good. They're convenient. And each can is about 350 calories for each one. And what you find is the bean, first of all, it's botanically a fruit. Most beans fall into the 80-10-10 category.
Right.
80% carbs, 10% protein, 10% fat. And what I have found is that if you try to stick to an all-sweet, juicy fruit protocol, like Dr. Graham's, most people are going to have cravings and they're not going to be able to stick to that. But if you, as Dr. Adam Dave recommends in his Paradigm Diet book, if you add a dinner of a green smoothie and a plate of steamed vegetables and organic beans, that, first of all, satisfies a lot of cravings that most people have for something more substantial. It also still allows you to fit yourself into the 80-10-10 category. You're still 100% vegan when you're doing it.
Right.
And so I think it's just more realistic for people to go for that as a goal. And then if they want to go further and eliminate beans as a which I do. I mean, I eat go with the Dr. Graham protocol probably about half the week, where I just go with sweet, juicy fruit and don't have beans or any steamed vegetables whatsoever. But I think to have that as an option makes it a lot more doable for most people.
And what about pH? Aren't fruit going to cause an acidic environment inside yourself?
Probably not, because all fruits and vegetables, even tomatoes, which are classified by a lot of people as acidic, once they are in your body, they have an alkaline effect. All fruits and vegetables have an alkaline blood-producing effect on your body, whereas all animal products, for example, have an acidic effect on your body, which actually leaches calcium from your bones and causes constipation and a whole host of other problems. So if you stick with fruits and vegetables as the main source of your calories, you'll go a long way toward having a alkaline bloodstream.
Great. Well, and you go, you proceed in your books. I found it fantastic as well. Your fitness, should they call it protocol, I think. Fitness of the gods, right?
Yes.
And it's nice, and then I saw all these body weight exercises, and one thing that really impresses me, and I also saw one of your videos saying that the Hindu push-up would be the greatest exercise of all. Could you explain that, please?
Yes, that was kind of another aspect of when I started going with a raw food diet. I also, at about the same time, was introduced to the whole idea of body weight exercise. And before that, I had lifted a lot of weights. I'd always kind of been a weightlifter, and I began suffering some, I guess you'd call them nagging injuries, like shoulder pain and knee pain. And I'm not saying it was 100% due to weights. And of course, if you're out there and you're lifting weights and you're having good results with it, that's fine. However, for me, body weight exercise is kind of the key to getting into the best shape of your life, because with body weight exercises like the Hindu push-up that you mentioned, you're hitting three things all at once. You're building strength. You're really creating a kind of a ripped musculature. So you're building a lot of strength, and at the same time, you're building an incredible amount of cardiovascular fitness. And anybody that doubts that, all you have to do is take 5 or 10 minutes and do as many squats as you can do, up and down, just with your own body weight, nothing else, no weights. Then when you get done with that, do as many push-ups as you can do. And then when you're done with that, jump up, do a few jumping jacks, and start back over again with squats. If you just did that, those two exercises, squats and push-ups, to the exclusion of everything else, you would probably be in better shape, and you did it for 10 or 15 minutes each day, vigorously. You'd be in better shape than most of the people that go to the gym and kind of wander listlessly about from one machine to another, which kind of allows you to get in comfortable positions and really not push yourself the way that body weight exercise can. So if you do it the right way, the way I demonstrate in the book and in my videos, which is essentially going one body weight exercise into the next with no rest at all, you will burn fat like crazy. You'll build lean, attractive muscle, not huge muscle, but lean, attractive muscle. And you'll also build one heck of a lot of mental toughness, because it takes a lot out of you, particularly as you start to get closer to being able to do 30 minutes of nonstop calisthenics. So once I did that and combined calisthenic workouts with the high raw vegan diet, that's kind of became the cornerstone of what I do, those two things.
Could you explain what are the calisthenic exercises that you are mentioning? I mean, are
Well,
they different than the body weight exercise?
the major ones, calisthenics and body weight exercise are basically referring to the same thing. And the major ones are the squat and the push-up. And then you have different variations of those that I demonstrate in my videos, like the Hindu push-up and the Hindu squat. But basically, if you concentrate your workouts on these exercises that work out the major muscle groups of the body, you get results very quickly. You hit every supplemental muscle group along with it if you concentrate on those exercises. And like I said, it's a very tough, demanding workout to do. So it really does produce results, I believe, from my own experience and from working with a lot of people now, quicker than any other method that you could use. Squats, push-ups, crunches, pull-ups. There's another exercise, the climber and the bridge. I go over all of these in my videos, and you can see those for free on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Jeff Sekerak.
Yeah, I watched it, and I'm sure that our audience will love to watch your videos as well. Well, Jeff, you have a diet, you have exercises, and you show us what to do with our thoughts as well. And I think one of the best parts of your book is that part of thoughts of the gods. And one thing that I would like you to explain here is that you invite us to have a mythic life, right? You use a lot of mythic metaphors with the gods and so on, and I love that.
Yeah, that's kind of the metaphor that I chose, because I really do believe that fruit is, for want of a better term, a food fit for the gods. And then I kind of carry that metaphor through to the fitness section, and then kind of tie the whole thing up at the end with how to hopefully use your mind to get the best of yourself. And I kind of go through my basic meditation technique that I believe in and try to do every morning to get the best of yourself. And if you can get an idea of a little bit of what that's about if you go to my e-zine articles, which if you go to my site, superiorbodyhealth.com, along the top I've got a toolbar up there, and you can click on my blog and my e-zine articles link. And if you just start reading those for free, it doesn't cost you anything. I go over in a lot of those articles my whole idea on meditation, how to do that, and how to picture yourself as the best possible kind of physical specimen that you can be. And there's a certain way of doing it. We really don't have time to break it all down here, but if you start reading those articles, I break it down, and of course I break it down in the book, which I've got right now. It's $4, a real bargain. And that's one of the good things about Amazon, is I can bring the information to a lot more people at a lot cheaper price. So if you read that book, and if you read my e-zine articles and get an idea of how to start using your mind to get the best of yourself, and you start incorporating the diet and the fitness system into your life, you will get into the best shape of your life if you're truly committed to do it.
And one exercise that you mentioned in that session, Thoughts of the Gods, that really impressed me, and I really think that it works is that visualizing exercise and having a vision of how you want to become. And I love it when you wrote that it would be good to have a picture of someone who you admire and who is already in that situation, right? And and I can say here that I have your picture here on my wall here,
Hey,
Jeff.
that's. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that. That's. I'll tell you, when I first started doing it, I kind of had some ups and downs with the raw food diet. It's not always easy to change the habits of a lifetime. And when I first started, I had Arnold Ehret's picture up on my refrigerator. The guy that wrote a book called The Mucusless Diet Healing System, which is one I highly recommend. And I had his picture up on my refrigerator, and I've got it around here somewhere. And I think that's a great way to go, is to choose role models that are already doing what you'd like to do and getting the results that you'd like to get.
Yeah, and you have lots of fantastic tips in your book, but this tip is, for me, it was really brand new, because usually we hear about having before and after two pictures. A before picture when you start, and you will have after pictures.
Yeah, that's one of the things I tried to do with the book. Is I tried to, over the years I've read all these different vegan books, like the China Study, Dr. Graham's book, and some of the other ones that I've talked about here. And I really, after going through all that material for so long, I wanted to combine it all, along with the body weight exercise, into a whole system that anybody could do without a lot of education, without a lot of not needing any equipment, not needing any weights or anything else except their own body, to get some really, really measurable good results. And I think I've combined all of that into a system in the book that anybody can do.
And you did. I really believe that. It's a very readable book. It's entertaining and instructive at the same time.
Yep, that's kind of the goal: entertaining and instructive.
Right, and I think you really had a great idea here of when you chose the God thing, mythic life and so on. It's I think I had this impression, when you mentioned some I don't remember exactly the name, but a Greek god or hero that you admire and that history inspires you, right?
Yeah, well, it's kind of, there's a reason that these myths of like Greek gods and no matter what the culture is, if you look down through the course of human history, if you've ever heard of Joseph Campbell, he talks about the power of myth. He's got a book called The Power of Myth, which is another great one. And there's a reason that all these myths survive. And I think that to a large degree, modern man has kind of been stripped in a lot of ways of his relationship to those myths. What with TV and just the sedentary lifestyle that a lot of people live, and all the processed food, all of that garbage. If you just get rid of all that garbage and kind of focus your mind on the best of what human beings can be, which is kind of a mythic type of figure, I think that in itself can go a long way toward getting you mentally to move in the right direction toward what you can really make of yourself if you put the time in.
And by the way, as you are mentioning Joseph Campbell, I have a book here, not the one you mentioned, but mine is The Hero with 1,000 Faces.
That's a great one too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Myths to live by. Like on Kindle, my book's on Kindle on Amazon, and if you don't have a Kindle device, I don't have a Kindle device. You don't even need one. You can download the Kindle application and read it on your computer or on your cell phone. I've had a few people ask me that. So, yeah, you don't need a Kindle to read the book. You can go to Amazon, download the Kindle device, and then start reading all kinds of good stuff for like very cheap cost. And one of those that you can download is some of Joseph Campbell's books, and I recommend this one, Myths to Live By, which is kind of a compilation. I think it's got some of his articles from that Hero with 1,000 Faces, but it's got a lot of his best stuff in that book. So that's another one that is really good.
And the cool thing about these books of Joseph Campbell is that we end up realizing that everyone could be a hero, right? I really believe here that you became now you are my hero, I can say, and I know that you are a hero for so many people. And could you explain this thing about someone who will read your book will be inspired, and he or she is an average person and maybe stressed and with the SAD diet, the Southern American diet, and so on, and then something happens as it happened to you, and there is like a click, and this person changes and maybe becomes a hero.
Yeah, I think what happens is when you, like you say, you start to maybe, make a role model of somebody that's getting the results that you'd like to have in your own life and in your own body. What happens is eventually you hit a point after you've been maybe doing the body weight exercise and making more and more fruits and vegetables part of your diet and less processed foods. You hit a point where you really realize that like less is more. That, wow, the human body, I really can, go days eating nothing but fruits and vegetables. And boy, the better you get at this, the more you crave the good stuff. And I think you do hit a point where you realize, kind of like Victoria Botanko and her family noted in her book Green for Life, that's another great one, that your tastes do change. And as you consume more and more of the good stuff, you maybe thought before that you did not have any willpower, but if you incorporate vigorous exercise and if you start making green smoothies more and more a good portion of your diet, everyone gets to a point where something, as you say, does click in your mind. You say, boy, this is really something that I can do. And that's kind of it was a revelation for me, I can tell you that, because I was somebody who didn't think that I had the willpower to do that. And then the better and better you get at the body weight exercise, and the closer you get toward becoming the type of person that perhaps your role model is, the more you realize that you can live more of a mythic type of a life, particularly compared with 9 of 10 people in Western society.
Right,
a good goal to shoot for.
You become like a hero, right, for most people.
I think so. Yeah, and that's kind of one of the goals that hopefully with my book that people can get is you are able to build the type of kind of vibrant energy and health that you can walk into a room and people know there's something different about you. Maybe they can't put their finger on it, but you're generating the type of vibrant health that is attractive to other people.
Yeah, and it's and maybe someday you become a role model to someone else, right? As a hero.
You will. There's no question about that. You will, especially in the kind of the society that we live in now, which just seems to be in a rapid state of decay when you look around at the health of the average person in Western civilized society. You will become, if you stick to what I lay out in the book, you will become the best possible person you can be, and just by default there are people that will wonder how you're doing it, and at that point you can tell them, because it really is pretty simple.
So we could say, and well, maybe you won't say that, but I can say, because I am your reader, and I really believe that you have here something like hero generation blueprint.
A blueprint, yes.
Yeah, it's like you can design yourself using your confessions of a super fit vegan.
I think
Th-
so. I
th-
really think so. That's why I put it together, and I think I've tied together. If you read one book like the Paradigm Diet, and then another one like the China Study, and another one like Dr. Graham's Diet, I think if I've been able to bring anything to the conversation, it's to combine a reasonable approach for people to do an 80-10-10 diet and be 100% vegan and not feel like they're starved and not feel like it's the end of the world, that they're having to give up, foods that satisfy them. Hopefully I've laid it out in a way that makes it doable for anybody. And that was kind of my goal, and I think I hit it by tying together the best of what I've learned over the years.
yeah, I'm pretty sure that you did it. Fantastic book, and thank you so much for coming here today, Jeff. I really appreciate that you took the
Absolutely.
time.
Always a
And
pleasure, Louise. I'm glad that we got this one on recording. I know
yeah,
we had that issue last time, so hopefully this one comes out good. And anybody that's out there, I'd say, hey, if you're in a kind of a bad state of health, that's where I was when I started. So I lay it all out in that book. And if you're having health issues and you're not at your best, then I'm probably the exact person you should be listening to, because no matter how bad your health was, mine at one point, even though I was a vegan, eating all those refined carbohydrates, mine was probably equally as bad. So have no fear. There's a way out of it, and there's a way to put together a diet that makes sense, that's 80-10-10, that's vegan, that will satisfy you. And if you combine that with good, vigorous exercise, the way I lay it out, it's pretty simple, and you will get results quickly.
thank you, Jeff. And you who are listening, go now to superiorbodyhealth.com to see Jeff's site, and you can also click the link below here, our video, to go directly to Amazon and buy his fantastic book, Confessions of a Super Fit Vegan, or I Ate the Food of Gods, Loaded Up on Carbs, Forgot to Count the Calories, that's fantastic, and
Yep.
Built the Body of My Dreams. You can too. Fantastic, Jeff. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Louise. Good to be with you again. Have a good day, okay?
Thank you. Bye-bye.